Continuing our quest for tabletop immortality with Godtear. 1, 2, 3 Warbands, or breaking the synergy and moving on from multiple type Warbands. What are we looking, what are we thinking in Godtear, and how do you guys normally play? That's what we're going to look at. That's the checklist we're going to build in this vlog. So one of the interesting things about Godtear is that it scales. It scales not only based on the warbands in your collection, but also based on the time frame that you have to play. It can lead itself to a longer, larger game, or a very, very, very quick, let's just smash it out type game. And I appreciate the scaling synergy. There's advantages and disadvantages, and we're going to look at both. But what this means is I get the maximum amount of time in playing Godtear. That's not so with other wargaming or skirmish-based systems. You know, other skirmish-based systems, the rules are written to work at X level of play, you know, X size. And that takes an amount of time. You know, every game is 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You know, I'm just making up times right now as an example. You could scale down, but then it breaks the rules. It doesn't quite work out. There's imbalances. You know, I appreciate Godtear literally being built from the ground up to not only accommodate different play styles and expectations and missions, but the time to play. So playing at one warband plays very, very fast. I do enjoy some one warband games from that perspective, a chance to really zone into that one narrative. I tend to want to play life for that mission because one-on-one forces us to converge on the center. It forces us to fight that out, but it is very dependent on dice rolls, because in those dice rolls, we only have one warband. We only have one champion. What I like about these games is while I can't bust out tons of synergies, and it is very focused, it plays fast. We can play in 15 minutes. We can play in 20 minutes. What I find myself doing with these types of games and why I enjoy them is we can be playing Godtear at the club where you have a set amount of time, and then you finish up and you're like, all right, I got 20 minutes left. I got 30 minutes left. And we can't play a big game or a normal game, but we can play a small game, a quick game. Or likewise, sometimes I'll bring Godtear with me, and it's not the focus for the evening. We're going to play some board games. We're going to play some other wargaming systems. But we finish up the regular game, and it's like, well, we still have half an hour left, or we still have 45 minutes left. Let's just bust out a warband. Let's just play it. Let's just do it. So while it doesn't have the full Tactica flavor of some of the larger type games, you can get it in, and it's a nice little focused experience. So that's at one warband. I like playing one warband. Then we jump to 2 warbands. So obviously we're scaling up. Now 2 warbands gets interesting in that I've got synergy. I've got 2 warbands, 2 champions, 2 groups of followers working together. I'm going to be able to push and pull, depending on the warband, to pull you in to attacks from my other champion. I'm going to be able to throw up curses and synergies and boons and banes and all this type of stuff. Now it's not only about positioning, but it's about, can I chain off certain combos? But those combos are a little bit limited because I only have 2 warbands. This is an interesting spot because while I don't have the full tactical flexibility of list building and synergy, the game still plays pretty quick. I've got 2 warbands. Plays very, very fast. So I'm starting to get the best of both worlds of a little bit of complexity, a little bit of spice, a little bit of flavor, but I'm not committing to like an hour and a half. The mission is also important. Playing life or exploring missions where things are fixed. Missions where you have some tiers on one side or the other side. Since we only have 2 warbands, it could potentially be a little bit unbalanced depending on the warbands that you pick, where I camp out on one side and that warband isn't doing too much. I mean, it's planting banners, it's getting me points. And, you know, that's a strategy, that's a synergy, camping on objectives, you know, looking at Half Tusk and being able to camp that claim that, do the one punch, two punch. I mean, there are objective campers, banner campers, that is, but it kind of takes things out a little bit if you only have 2 warbands. I tend to not, given the choice, I would rather play at 1 warband or 3 warbands, but 2, it's a choice. Now we jump into 3, and this is kind of where the game wants to play. It's that sweet spot of, we have a nice little pick of warbands, synergies, champions, chain attacks, push and pull. You have enough model mass that if you kind of make a mistake somewhere, you can cover it up depending on where it is in the chain of movement, the orders that you've issued. You have answers and possibilities to all of the different missions. And the system itself still plays pretty quick. You know, it's a quick playing warband. It's a quick playing skirmish game. So it's not like I'm committing to a 4-hour game. I would say this is where most of the battles that I play are at. And again, given the choice, I'd like to play 3. And then if we have time, play 1. Or if we're jumping in and it's like, you know, let's just play a bunch of 1 warband games, play out from there. Okay, custom games, 4 warbands, 5 warbands, moving up on warbands. I'm a firm believer in everyone has a spot at the table, right? Wargaming, skirmish gaming, miniature gaming. For me, I want to win. I like the tactics. It's a lot of fun. But it's a social exercise. I want to sit down, roll some dice, have some fun. We're literally stepping out of space and time. We're going into the realm of Godtear and other responsibilities, work, school, probably things that I should be working on. I'm stepping outside of that, and I want to have an efficient use of my time, an efficient use of that wargaming narrative. So I want to have fun. I want my opponents to have fun. Anyone that wants to play, sit down and let's play. And I would rather break the rules or put stress on the rules, or if there's some things that are a little out of balance or a little out of whack, I'm cool with that because I want us to have fun. I like big games. I like multiplayer games because the more people that you involve, just the more fun, the more crazy stuff that happens, the more excellent rolls, the more synergies. So what I like about Godtear is you can play 4 versus 4. And we've played a couple of games with that. Everyone takes 1 warband. And you could do 3 and 3, but 4 and 4. 1 warband and 4 players on one side, 4 players on another side. And when we try to pull in 3 or 4 of the starter sets and keep the dice on one side of the table so we knew who's on who. This way we have enough dice and we don't have to constantly be passing around. But where I think Godtear works well with this, now, yes, you have 4 players involved. Game takes a lot more time. And we want it to, because we want to enjoy the tactics, but also in the plot phase and the pre-plot phase, you want to sit with your teammates and talk and be like, you know, literally the champion on the table is your avatar. What are we going to do? So we want to build in some time to talk and strategize and figure out what's going on. That adds on to the scope of the game. Where I think it also really works is, since you're never eliminated, you're never truly eliminated in Godtear, this is where I think we need to be open to breaking the player count, because unlike other war games where I've played big games, if someone gets ganged up on, either because they're weak or they made a tactical indecision, or you're like, look, I mean, this is rarely the case, Fritz is the best player on the table, we need to take him out turn 1. So he's done. So all that tactica he's posting, it's done. Remove him. Done. Take him out. So concentrate all firepower on that Super Star Destroyer and take him out. If that happens in a traditional war game, my tanks charge forward, I get blown up. Well, now what do? I'm sad face. I sit out for 2 hours, 3 hours, or however long the length of the game is. Godtear with the recruit, Godtear with the fact that your champion just gets knocked out, comes back, is ideally suited to multiple players on each side. You are never fully knocked out. I might become a little bit salty that you're trying to gang up on me, but hey, what that means is, this going back to the synergy with the other champions on my team, look, they just threw everything they had at me this turn and knocked me out. What that means is you guys are free to claim tiers, the other champions on my side. you have movement, synergies, abilities that you can now do. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. I want to cut at the tears at the end. Taking advantage of it. So I like to explore that with Godtear and play multiplayer games, bigger player games. I mean, you could still do it 2-on-2. You could still do it 3-on-3. But let's do 4-on-4. Let's battle it out. Let's have a massive, massive battle royale. And it works because you get in with the synergy of your champion, but also because you are never truly eliminated. That's important. That's important. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys, my fellow Godtear enthusiasts, tapping into that meta. What is that sweet spot? What's the game that you like to play at what power level, what warband level? What's the advantage of smaller games? What's the advantage of bigger games? And out of personal curiosity, again, for the social interaction, how do you approach multiplayer games and bring that in to play?